Welcome to PPR Podcast number 74. My name is Paul. Your name is?
Bert.
In the middle is?
Coach Hauser from Mission Hills.
That's right. Somebody I've been following for the longest time. Coach, happy Thanksgiving week to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to both of you guys as well.
Thank you.
Coach, well, we should probably talk about, you're still coaching it. It's always good to still have a practice session on your schedule this time of year, is it not?
Yeah, it is. We've been away from it because the CIF has moved the schedule up. So it used to be semis or Thanksgiving week. So we had a lot of Thanksgiving mornings practicing, and now it's the finals. So we haven't had a Thanksgiving morning practice since 2017. So I know I am extremely excited. It kind of gets me out of some of the chores at home preparing for Thanksgiving. So my wife's awesome, but I'll be at school in the morning on Thursday.
I want to start with the question, because it's award season, Coach, and you know, famously Paul left Chris Olave off the silver pigskin. And
you better back me up on this, Hauser.
I mean, we have similar things at schools this year. You know, Coach, there's always a great player we leave off or don't leave off, or somebody else on the school got there and somebody else didn't. Did you guys really hate Paul back then? Because I wasn't on the show back then.
No, not at all. Not at all. He loves this too much. It was a banner year. We had a high-profile 4-year starting quarterback, Jack Tuttle, and I think we were up against a young man that had a whole congregation voting for him for the fan vote, so we kind of lost out on that. I'm not sure what that young man's doing anymore, but I know Chris Olave caught a go route for a touchdown on Sunday.
All right. Can we just set the table here? First of all, Coach.
Thanksgiving table.
Yeah, but Coach, let's just go back in time.
Yes.
For those who don't know it, and it goes down.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Okay. All right. The prep picture for it at that particular year, we're going to have 5 finalists and then a 6th person as a fan vote. We had to choose between, because Mission Hills was great that year. We had to choose between Tuttle, the quarterback, Olave, the wide receiver. Coach, please, will you back me up on this? We were agonizing over which one to put on the podium as the fan vote and which one we were going to put on the podium, which one we were going to put on the fan vote. We had multiple conversations, did we not?
We did, absolutely.
All right, and so the thinking was, in the brainstorming session was, okay, we'll put Tuttle on, certainly deserving, and we'll put Olave in the fan vote because then for sure he was. You don't think I recognize the fact that he was a good football player?
I know you recognize that, but what I think I was lobbying for is both to be on right off the bat.
Right, and in hindsight, Coach, if I could go back in time, that and Arian Foster go down as our 2 greatest blunders in show history. But
Alex Smith.
Well, okay, but I mean, Alex Smith wasn't. So I'll tell you this: Alex Smith wasn't the football player that Chris Olave was at his senior year. I mean, that's just a fact.
True.
Alex was kind of more of a late bloomer. But, Coach, I'm afraid to drive into your neck of the woods because people still are. And every time he catches a touchdown pass while I'm rooting for him, I'll tell you what I knew I was in trouble, Coach, is we took the video up to Tom Telesco's office when the Chargers were up in L.A., and I put the tape on, and Telesco was breaking down the 2 athletes, and I was hoping he was going to say, he goes, well, his first line, Paul, the quarterback's good, but I might draft this kid, the receiver, right now. And that's when I knew I was in trouble, Chris.
Yeah, I thought that was a great deal that you did with him. That was cool. So I do remember that.
So do you think the system, I mean, do you think we should allow multiple players from schools or no?
We're trying to spread the love.
I know you're trying to spread it, but nowadays you do have some teams that have multiple blue chippers on it. You know, there's some incredible players on teams now. So again, if you're trying to recognize the best in the county and they just so happen to be on the same team, I think you got to go with it. It's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. You know, if, Peavy and Roderick are both on the stand, one's going to Georgia and one's going to SC, my goodness. And some other kid that might be going to junior colleges on there because he had a big year. Is it about where they're going to play after high school, or is it just about that season? I think you and I, Paul, have had that conversation. It's hard to project with kids. There's been a lot of great high school football players that haven't produced once they got to the 4-year level.
But it's almost like the CIF seating. We complain about it every year, and then we do a new system, and then we complain about that, and then let's go back to the old system, and then we complain about that. I don't even know if there's a right answer.
Yeah, it's ongoing. It's never going to
It's hard, Coach.
Yeah,
It really is.
it'll always be that way. It'll always be that way. We looked at this system because yes, we're in the big game this week, but we're not, and I think you guys know we haven't been a high profile team this year. We don't have high profile guys. We've kind of been under the radar most of the year. We lost 3 in a row in the front end. We kind of played a great game. Coach Burt was there with Carlsbad, kind of got back on track as a team and have run off some games, but because of that, we look at our team and go, shucks, we're not an open team. We don't have a big time guy that's going to lead us in that, but this system has put us there because of our schedule. And, it's nothing. I mean, our schedule's our schedule, and it's hard to find games. You guys know that with a lot of these other teams that are high profile. So, it's always a work in progress. There'll be something different. We'll probably go to the Cal Preps here soon, where Southern section, where they have everybody ranked postseason and then slot everybody. There might be that way. Maybe they'll stay with this for another way. It's in constant negotiations.
So, I mean, asking that, I have to ask you, because you said it. When they were doing, when they're coming out the Open, did you want to be in the Open, or did you want to be in Division I when they were actually doing it?
Well, I was in the Open last year.
This year.
But
it was
again,
between you and Poway?
Right. We were tied for second in our league, and I'm thinking Poway's 10-0. They won their schedule. They got a guy that's going to stand on the silver pigskin stand with the running back. So, they're a high-profile team, and I think they earned the right to be in the Open at 10-0 versus us at 7-3 and tied for second in our league. That to me warrants Poway to be there. And would I like to go to the Open to say I'm in the Open? I'm over those days. I'm looking at where our team fits in, and we fit into Division I this year.
Fascinating.
But true, yeah.
Hey, can I just go back and say one last thing about Chris Olave? Because I want
let it go.
You guys brought it up. I just want to say one thing, Coach, just before we move off that topic for the afternoon. Is as upset as some folks were, Chris Olave has always treated the PPR in ensuing years through his days at Ohio State and now as an NFLer with class and distinction. He was never bitter. Mm-hmm. He was always, and that kudos, because the same can't be said for other people in his orbit. So he was very. He even rose in estimation as a great athlete and as a great young man. Can you speak to the fun of watching him in the NFL?
Oh, it's beyond fun to think that not too long ago, he was walking on campus and let alone his junior year, probably the best scout player in the nation for us. When he had to sit that year and just a handful of years later, here he is, and just all the people that he's come across in his life now in that short window, all the connections from Ohio State he has, all those friends, those guys that are in the league, and now with the New Orleans Saints, he and I, obviously had a camp on our campus this past summer, which he put on out of his own coin, and everybody got to go there for free, just giving back to the community of San Diego. He's loving the NFL. He really is. He loves being an NFL receiver. I know he misses college because that whole college Ohio State vibe is so wonderful. And he came close to winning a national championship. Got to see him play in a few games as a Buckeye. I think that's why he went for a fourth year. But now, from a business standpoint, he sees it as a business, but I know he's still having a lot of fun playing football.
And you could tell with him, I mean, I could probably only name 2 or 3 people that I've seen do this. It's the transition, he kills it at youth. The transition to high school's seamless for him. He kills it from day one. Then to college, just to go from high school to Ohio State and just kill it the day you walk on there. And then the same thing with the pros. You don't see guys that have no problem whatsoever in the transition just right away. It's amazing.
It is amazing, and most of us in our coaching careers, if we've been around a long time, we can count on one hand at the most how many kids have been able to do that. I can go way back in time, in the early 2000s at Vista with Leon Hall, who stepped right in at Michigan his freshman year as a corner and then started for 4 years for Lloyd Carr and then transitioned to the Bengals. played 9 years and 3 more years after that. Those guys are rare. They really are.
Yeah,
but you see it in high school. You see how different they are. And like Chris and Leon, they both had some of those same qualities. They treated everybody the same. It didn't matter where they were at on the roster, how much playing time, what grade they were in. They were just good human beings. And I think there's something to be said for that because, obviously, Bert, at that level, there's so many great players and we see it at the combine every year, but they don't all make a roster. And there's other ingredients and go into it. I know you could speak more to that, Bert, being at that level. We have Mike Kozlowski on our staff who played back in the 80s for the Killer Bees and 2 Super Bowls for the Dolphins. And, obviously different eras, but, you just see the, Mike and who he is as a human being. And now he's giving back, in his 60s coaching high school football because he loves the game and, is as if every kid he coaches, that guy that really is never going to see the field, but he coaches it with all his heart. It just tells me who he was back as a player back then.
You're bringing up some of these names because I just thought of Stephen McClure. You've had your share of, most coaches don't ever see a kid ever come through the ranks and make it to the NFL. You've had multiple guys. It begs the question, who's the best kid you've ever coached?
Well, I would say Pisa, Tino Samoa.
I forgot him, yeah.
Yeah, starts with Pisa. Pisa was on our staff. Pisa stepped down this year, but Pisa had been coaching with us at our lower levels. Pisa's oldest boy, Caleb, played for us. So got the chance to spend quite a bit of time out. Actually, during our bye week, my wife and I went to the Rams game at SoFi and saw a guy walking past me with a Tino Samoa jersey on, signed by Pisa. So I took a quick picture of it, sent it to Pisa. Of course, he loves that. And I do have a Pisa jersey. I'm not a uniform guy, but I do have one of Pisa. And when we went to our first SoFi game last year, my wife and I asked permission from Pisa. I said, hey, you mind if I wear this? And kind of just bring 50, 5-0, Hawaii 5-0 back to the venue. It was absolutely coach. So it was a lot of fun.
Did you ever wear my jersey to the Charger games?
No one does.
No? That's all right. Nobody. I didn't even wear it half the games.
92, correct?
Yes, correct.
There we go.
People talk about Reggie being the first star of the PPR, but really Pisa was the first star that created that sparked the, hey, maybe we should do a football show here in town, because he was really the first. When I got to town, he was, I don't want to say the naughty word, but he was the thing.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
He was.
Well, it's funny. We're going back to Southwestern, but in '96, we played Morse in the CIF championship. We got bumped from Qualcomm because of the weather clause, and we played Morse at Southwestern. That was Pisa's sophomore year, where he had an incredible fourth down stop. Morse was running option. And, he tackled the quarterback. And then during that game, he came in at tailback and he broke counter off to the left and popped it for about 70 yards for a touchdown run. And we had a bunch of dudes on that team, too. But Pisa was making a huge impact on a CIF championship game back in '96 as a sophomore.
Wow.
Same venue.
Geez, we've all gotten old very quickly.
Yeah. we had a similar show in Philadelphia about high school athletes. And if I named the athletes that were on there, you probably would. You remember Meldrick Taylor, the boxer?
No.
He was on there, won the Olympics that year. Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball.
Hank Gathers,
yes.
Yeah, those two. Who else? The running back from Penn State, Blair Thomas.
Wow.
None of us won. Speaking of the PPR, some kid that played lacrosse won.
All right, well, see, it's hard. It's hard.
It is.
It happens everywhere.
Yeah. Pooh Richardson, who went to UCLA, he was on there.
Wow.
None of us won. It was a kid that played lacrosse and like field hockey or something.
I want to do the PPR long enough to have Chris Olave on it after. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to play or hang around long enough for it, but I want to formally apologize face to face on live to make good. All right, enough of that though. Coach, can we talk a little bit about the game that you have coming up?
Sure, let's do it.
What worries you the most about modern day?
They're athletes. They're space. They're so good in space. They have a lot more than us. Their collection and what they do offensively, they spread you out. You'll see them get into, 4x1, 2x2 stack near the sidelines so they could see what you do, and then they'll run the ball right up the middle and separate you and pop a big one. And, the quarterback's super dynamic. So it's really about not allowing big plays, and we got to tackle in space. We really have to tackle well in space and get kids to the ground, because you see those kids make bonus yards after catch. And you saw it in the championship game with Lincoln and Carlsbad. The winning touchdown Carlsbad didn't get that kid to the ground. It kind of spun him and off he went. You know, you've got to get kids to the ground, and tackling in space is hard, but it's something we work on a lot because it's a big part of the game because of how it's changed in space. It's not so much in the box anymore.
So let me ask you that, because I know the tackle you're talking about, but you see it in the pros now, you see it everywhere. You know, with the concussion thing, people really don't hit like they used to in practice. So, I mean, has it become hard for you to teach kids actually how to tackle now? Because you see a lot of bad missed tackles nowadays and bad form, and mostly because they don't practice anymore because of the head injury fears.
I just think you gotta not tackle people, and that's what we do. We tackle. We have a tackling sled. We have a pop-up sled. We have obviously bags. So we're going to tackle. We're just not going to tackle bodies as often. But we are going to do in space fit up drills so that we are working on, head placement, grabbing claw, squeezing elbows, and then, working to take kids to the ground. We talk a lot about running our feet on contact. So it's something we stress. I know the game is evolving with that, but you still have to tackle. The rules of the game say you have to bring guys to the ground, and if you don't practice it, then it shows up on Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays, and we just do it differently, I guess.
If the Chris Hauser, the one that I'm talking to right now, met the Chris Hauser of say 20 years ago,
yeah,
would they be on each other's coaching staff? I mean, have you? We're talking about how the game has changed. How has coaching changed?
Well, number one, a lot of credit to my staff because of me. I'm hard to be around, I would imagine. Especially 20 years ago. I think now, I'm not. I don't think I'm the sideline issue for referees. I think it's more my staff because they're very passionate. It's me doing me trying to calm my staff down on Friday nights versus me being the 20-year-ago guy, trying to get a call or change a call, so to speak. I think there's a lot of similarities still. I think my DNA is what it is. I'm super competitive. I love the game. I love coaching kids. So that hasn't changed. I just think because of age and just being around the game and seeing the evolution of kids and, my approach is probably different. I try to do a better job of breaking me down in front of the kids and not being guarded, let them know more about me, bring levity, make fun of myself. Obviously, don't have a lot of hair up top. I got a dent in my forehead. Those are things that, I have great stories for, and how they have won a lot of games with that dent. Tell kids the helmet came off and I ran to the end zone and knocking heads to get there. And allows me to talk about wants and needs. I want to have hair, but I don't need to have hair, when we're talking about getting ready for a game. And so I think there's a lot of the same, but I just think, I don't know if mellow's the right word, just maybe a little calmer.
But you can tell, I mean, you do this long enough, you see, we're talking about yourself 20 years ago. You can tell the newer coaches, they all got the tight fit Lululemon pants on, the Jordans, the towel coming out. And then you see the guys that have been doing it for a while, New Balance, some Dockers.
No, I'm going to tell you this, though. I do keep an eye on that. I do wear Lululemons on the sidelines.
Oh, gosh, so you ruined my whole, stop it.
The reason I say that's my daughter. My daughter likes to dress me at times. And so she says, Dad, try these. You
could be a princess Friday night then. Have her dress you up as a princess. That'd be nice.
I can.
So you've gone to the sleek fitting Lululemons. You got to try them, dude.
I'm not. I would
never,
never.
I'm a small guy, and when you can find a 33-30, you get it, man.
That's true, yeah. I'm going straight to Walmart for the Old Glory Dockers.
We got plenty of those guys on our staff too.
Good. So are you? Should I look for your name for any of the Trinity jobs that are open? Saw there's like 3 schools in the Trinity League open.
I kid around with my staff. The modern day job is, I think, posted for $350,000.
Are you serious?
That's what I heard. Yeah. So if I maybe ask for a 5-year contract and I get fired after 1 year, I'll get paid for 4 more. That's a good thing.
350,000.
That's what I've heard.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
That's
well,
Texas
when you're
money.
the number 1 in the country,
yeah.
not just California, the country. So it'll attract some college guys, I'm sure, that'll take a look at that. Maybe some former modern day players that are coaching collegiately. I think they'll keep it in-house somehow. some connection to modern day. That's my take for that. I don't think they'll go far outside for that job. Jay Sarah, right up the road. I grew up in San Juan Capistrano before I moved to Vista, so I know that area.
Servite too, right?
Servite, that's a little farther. I went to Fullerton, so I know where Servite's at. That's right next door to Fullerton where I was at. So I know it well, but I have no interest in the Trinity.
Well, it leads us into the next question. How long are you going to keep coaching?
It's year by year right now. I told my booster president the other night that I'm going to come back next year. So I can tell you that right now. My wife and I, we talk about it. Like I said to you guys probably off camera earlier, I had a couple health flare-ups this year, which are new for me. Things that I have under control, but just some probably stress related. The game will do that to you because, for us, it just seems like every Friday we're in a tough game, and over time it wears on you. And maybe I need to do a better job of delegating with my staff. I tend to be kind of a guy that does a lot because, high school coaches, they're getting a stipend here and there. They're not getting much. And it's kind of my career. I'm a teacher coach, so I'm around it all the time. So I tend to do more, I think. But that's just my personality. And my wife doesn't think I can pass things off. But I'm going to explore it, I think. I'm going to look at that a little bit, try to reduce my workload moving forward and see if it helps me overall.
Do you look forward the most on Friday night, the game, or me doing the halftime interviews?
Combination. Because, knowing that you're there, that's really cool. That we have an NFL stud like you, and obviously a Pittsburgh stud at our game. And I think a lot of kids, unfortunately, don't know a lot of history. And for me, it's fun to share that, let them know who you are and what you've done to get to this point. Because I think that's important. The history of the game is, not as dialed into kids anymore.
Right.
It's just they're in the moment. And for us, we like to talk about history. That was our team meeting yesterday. The last time we were in this championship game, 2017, and we were the favorite with Jack and Chris. And I even mentioned, here we have a guy catching touchdown pass on Sunday, yet we didn't win that game. And right now, on paper, I would say modern day is the favorite. So, that's why we're going to go out and play it and see if we can go knock these guys off.
Chris, talking to you, it's a lot like talking to your former arch rival, John Carroll. You guys are both hands-on. You're just not. I think your weakness, and you're both great coaches. I hold you in the highest regard, and I've said that publicly everywhere I go. And him as well. But you guys, if you have a weakness, it's your inability to delegate because
Sure.
And I get it because I have the same weakness. I
don't.
I'm trying to learn it, frankly. And I guess on that note, it helps to have people that you trust to delegate to. Like my good fortune is Brandon Stone came along, and now
Right.
he's better at everything than I ever could imagine to be. And so when you have guys like that, it's a little easier to give away a piece of the pie. I assume you find the same?
Absolutely. My good fortune is my defensive staff led by Thomas Altieri, our defensive coordinator, who is a rock star. And, maybe he's next in line to be the guy in Mission Hills. And Nick Dwyer, who's our secondary coach and special teams coordinator, and Mike Kozlowski, who coaches our linebackers, and Ed Knuckles. We all know Ed Knuckles from his days as a Grizzly, as our D-line coach. So, those guys work their tails off, and, the autonomy's there. TA and I, we talk and we go over the plan together and stay involved. And it's nice during the postseason because we don't have the little guys running around the field with us, meaning the JV. So my eyes can be with the varsity kind of full time now, and just talking the plan and kind of maybe helping as I can with my past experience as an old time defensive coordinator. But that is huge for me. And then my position group on my offensive staff, those guys give me everything, and they care, and they've got great relationships with their position groups. So overall, I have no complaints whatsoever. My staff is off the charts.
So you guys say, you can't delegate both of you. It's really you're both control freaks. Does
Yeah,
that spill off?
that was another way of saying it.
Yeah, control freak. Does that spill off into like everything, the classroom, your relationships, or is it just strictly football? I should be asking your wife this question.
It does spill over. You know, at school, you know, I used to be a history teacher, and then when I took the Mission Hills job, you know, one of the deals was I was going to be in PE full time, so that's been great. Kind of taken a lot off my plate with interruptions, and that's one thing as a high school coach, you get a lot of interruptions, whether that's college coaches coming through during recruiting windows, you know, just getting tugged away for vendors, et cetera. And so that's allowed me a little bit more freedom. I remember back in the 96 season, Robbie Robinson from that Vista team was getting recruited nationally, and Wisconsin came, and I was in front of my history class, and the door opened. It was Brian White, and Brian White was the offensive coordinator.
Sure.
Brian's still coaching collegiately, and Brian opens the door, and he looks at me, and I kind of waved to him, and I kind of gave him, hey, just give me 1 second. He opens the door a little wider, and there's Barry Alvarez standing there, and I said, class, I'll be right back. And, you know, and off I went to go see Coach Alvarez. Yeah.
Coach, I have to ask two more questions, and I want to ask them in the right order. Because we started with Tuttle, there's news that he's going into the portal.
Yes, he's in it.
So where is he? Is he going to end up on? If I ask Brandon Stone, he says he's going to be at Cal Bear. Where is he going to end up in your opinion?
That looks like a strong possibility. I think the San Diego State, they had some great dialogue. I think the emergence of the current quarterback at San Diego State is probably going to be a reason for Jack not to come this direction, because Jack only has the 1 year remaining. But he was up front. You know, his staff or his college coaches know it. He actually started a couple weeks ago because the starter ahead of him got knocked out. And then he started the next week, but he suffered a shoulder injury. So he's kind of on the mend. No surgery needed. But he's definitely wanting to get this direction, I think, get out west. And I think Cal could be a really good spot for him.
And then can I ask the last?
Of course you can. Go ahead.
Do you have a question you want to
No,
finish
I'm
up?
waiting for your last
All
one.
right,
You're already
so
over.
Coach, we kept you way over. If you could write your own legacy 5, 10 years, 15 years now, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, gosh. I just want to be remembered, I guess. You know, I just hope there's more good than not good.
That's it?
Well,
No, you know what? Nobody remembers.
I was waxing. I thought you were going to wax poetic there and give us a little Shakespeare or something.
You know, it's hard for me to talk about myself like that. I'm just a ball coach, you know, and you try to help kids. That's it.
All right.
I'll tell you what, I'll remember you, Coach. Straight shooter.
Yeah.
Who never gave no quarter asked, no quarter given.
Nobody remembers anybody nowadays.
I'll remember this, man.
Well, we're adults,
And
but I mean kids.
even when you were mad at me, Coach, I had you and Carol are the two guys that can make me wet my pants. You guys have.
Although we all remember our high school coaches.
Yeah.
I don't remember half of my college or pro coaches, but I do remember my high school coaches.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Coach Haynes, who I played for, back in the day had a kind of I call them barnyard plays, gadgets, trick plays. He called one sissy to sissy. So I still kind of honor Coach Haynes when we install sissy to sissy, using those words. Probably not supposed to use those kind of words anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
I always say,
That's not a pronoun nowadays, just so you know. That's not one of the pronouns.
All right, thanks. Now we get in trouble. Coach Hauser, thank you for your time. Good luck. And until the next time we cross paths.
Yes, sir.
That'll be Friday.
Well, I'll see you Friday. Jeez, I just thought of that. I'll see you Friday.
See you Friday.
All right, so good luck to you, and
thank you.
Thank you for making time for us, and happy Halloween. Happy Thanksgiving, Coach.
I appreciate the happy Halloween and Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, gentlemen. Enjoy your Thursday with your family.
All right, turn off the machines. We're done.